Hello and welcome to today's webinar, Build an Event App in 15 Minutes. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Lisa and I'm the Head of Content and Creative in the marketing team here at Fliplet. And today I'm joined by our sales engineer and all-round app expert, Noel. Just a reminder to please ask us any questions or share suggestions throughout the webinar. We'd love to hear from you. These can be sent privately via the Q&A option at the bottom of your screen. So our agenda for today is to give you a quick overview of Fliplet and run through our event solution. We'll then move on to the main event where Noel will show you how to create an event app prototype in 15 minutes, including how to fully customize the app. I'll have my stopwatch ready, and then we'll discuss how you can take your event app further beyond the prototype. And we're hoping to come in at around 30 minutes for today's webinar. So what is Fliplet? Well, Fliplet is an online tool that enables anyone to very rapidly build apps. Apps from Fliplet run everywhere across Apple, Android, and web. You create one app and it's optimized to work on any device that you need it to. We work with organizations to deliver a range of app solutions, many of which are pre-built, including events, reference and learning, emergency management, and community solutions, to name a few. So let's go ahead and look at what the Fliplet event solution can be used for. You can use a solution to create a mobile and/or web app that supports your in-person, virtual, and hybrid events. Your event could either be internal or external to your organization, so that's either staff or client-facing. And the solution can be created in a one-off event app, or you can create multiple events within one app, or even a number of event apps, depending on what works for you and your organization. So whether you're running a large hybrid conference with your staff, or perhaps a small in-person roundtable with clients, you can really adapt the Fliplet event solution to your needs. So now let's take a look at the types of events that solution can support. As I mentioned, the solution can support events of all sizes. Some examples of large and complex events include conferences, summits, retreats. We do have a lot of our law firm customers creating partner retreat apps every year, and some other large events like trade shows or award ceremonies. On the other hand, some examples of smaller and more simple events include webinars and seminars, events like breakfast or lunch roundtables. And you could even create an app for a series of small events that perhaps they follow the same topic. I'd really love to hear what events you're hoping to build in the your next event app for. Can you please let us know in the chat? And just also a reminder to please ask us any questions via Q&A at the bottom of your screen as we go through the webinar. So let's cover the features and benefits of the event solution before we dive into the demo. The key features of the event solution that are mostly common in the event apps that our customers are creating include agenda and schedule, interactive floor plans, a directory of speakers and attendees, chat and discussions, and notifications. Really important to keep everyone up to date before, during, and after the event. These include push notifications, in-app notifications, and SMS. The ability to check attendees in and out of the event, access to reports and analytics to continually optimize your event app, and as mentioned before, the ability to create an app or apps for multiple events is another key feature of the solution. So now let's look at the top benefits for organizations and event managers. So let's start with the benefits for your organization. An increase in the data collected around an event really helps to confirm the effectiveness of that event. You also capture attendees' opinions, which can be really crucial in your future event planning. This data collection also can result in increased sales due to the ability you have to follow up with customers and prospects after an event. There's an increase in productivity as it removes a lot of the manual data processing, and it allows the access of event information on any device at an in-person event or virtually. And there's also a competitive advantage in helping your organization to stand out and demonstrate your use of mobile technology. And then the benefits for event managers are improved engagement and easier communication with attendees and speakers, the ability to run unlimited events with Fliplet, and also to perform a complete analysis of the event's performance after the event. Now, what you've all been waiting for, I'll hand over to Noel to introduce the demo.
Brilliant. Thank you for that, Lisa. So yeah, as Lisa says, what we're going to do today is build out our events app in 15 minutes. So I'm going to focus this specifically on an internal event, so an internal use case, and specifically for a summer retreat. So as you can see below, we have a few steps that we're going to undertake to actually build out our application. Firstly, we're going to upload some existing content. So a really good thing is that I have my content to hand. This will naturally speed up the process. And we always advise that you do have your content to hand when you're building your applications. I'm going to brand my app. So I'm going to use a mixture of appearance settings and also checking these with our preview mode in Fliplet Studio. I'm going to customize the app with our drag and drop interface. So it's very easy to actually customize our appearance on our application. I'm going to tailor it to my exact requirements. So I'm going to look at removing some content as well from our solution. And then finally, what I'm going to do is I'm going to publish my app to the web. So the end result will be a prototype that my team can review. So without further ado, we'll get into the demo. Obviously, if you do have any questions as we're going throughout the build, then please post these in the Q&A box. So what we have here is the interface for Fliplet Studio. So you can see there's a couple of different options available to us. Firstly, there's the ability to create a new app using as many different Fliplet solutions as you like. Then below that, what we have is my app list. So this is every single app that I have created so far. If you go onto Fliplet today, you can create as many different apps and try out as many different solutions as you like. So what we'll do to get started is if we click on the plus symbol here, we can actually create a new app. So as I mentioned before, there's around 17 different solutions here at Fliplet that we can choose from. But today, what we're going to do is choose our event solution. So I'm just going to navigate to that now, and we're going to pick our event solution here. Now, what we can do at this stage is we can change things like the app name. So I'm going to call this Summer Retreat 2023. We could also change the app icon, but actually we don't need to worry about this. We can actually do this later on as well. So what's happening now is that our pre-built and off-the-shelf solution is being populated into my account. So all of the screens and different features within my application is now in my account, as you can see. So the first step to creating our application is actually uploading our content. So what I'm going to do firstly is I'm going to navigate to the right-hand pane of Fliplet Studio here, and I'm going to open up our file manager. So I should note at this stage that we're in our edit mode. So this allows us to edit every aspect of our application and obviously build out all of our different features. What I can do then is I'm going to actually go to our event info images because I have some images that I want to upload. So if we go into our folder here, and if I click new, what we can actually do is upload some files. So I'm going to navigate to my folder, and I'm going to upload these 4 image files here. So that's great. We have our event info images now in our file manager. So we could also utilize our file manager to hold a wide range of assets. So it could also be documentation, it could be icons, obviously images or videos. Essentially every aspect of the app that we want to have a different media type, we can include those via our file manager. I also want to upload some logos. So what I'm going to do is follow a similar process. I'm going to upload new, and I'm going to select the logos like so. So that's great. We have all of my media content uploaded into the file manager. So now we can come out of that file manager and go back to Fliplet Studio itself. So firstly, we have our onboarding screen on our solution here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a couple of different changes because we have some standard imagery, as you can see, like the hello icon. We also have a background image that I can change here. So to do that, all I have to do is simply click on the screen. You'll notice this cog icon. And what I can actually do is navigate to the specific slide I want to edit. So in this case, welcome to your event app. So I'm actually going to call this welcome to the summer retreat. Now, I could leave a description here if I wanted to, but what I'm going to do is actually remove this as I don't feel it's necessary. And what I can also do is I can replace this hello image with our logo that we uploaded just a second ago. So if I select our logo like so and select and save, you'll now see that populates on our onboarding screen, which is great. Secondly, then I mentioned we're going to change the background image used on this screen. So to do that, all we have to do is navigate to the slider options. And as you can see here, we have our background image currently as this nice confetti image. I'm just going to replace that image. Now, I mentioned earlier that we can upload things to the file manager, all of our assets. If we did forget to upload a particular asset, what we can just do is select files here as well. So I'm going to do that in this instance, and I'm going to select my background image. And now if we select and save, you should now see that we have our onboarding screen complete, which is great. So if I save and close that, we can come out of our onboarding screen. So for the rest of the application, I want to complete the branding as well. So there's other aspects of the app that I would like to edit. So the colors, for example, also the different fonts that are used. In order to do this, all we have to do is navigate to the theme appearance settings on the right-hand side. And as you can see, we have a number of different options available to us. Firstly, we have our quick settings, which I'm going to use today. So these can actually be used very easily to customize our whole application. So any changes I make here, whether it's the paragraph color, the primary color, or the secondary color, those changes will replicate throughout the whole application, which is great. So within a couple of minutes I'm going to do this, you'll see these changes take effect. So if I go to the paragraph text color, what we're going to do is change this to be a nice shade of blue. So I'll put in the hex code here. I'm also then going to change the highlight color to be this shade of purple. And then finally, we're going to change the secondary color to be a shade of orange. Now, as you can see, we do offer a number of different options here. So I'm using a hex code. You can also use this eyedropper component and actually pick out elements on your screen that you could use as the colors as well. So additionally, then you can see below, we also have different font types. So what I'm going to do is actually change a number of these. So I'm going to change from Helvetica to maybe Trebuchet. And also for the body, I'm going to do the same as well. So that's great. We now have our branding on the application itself, but there's a couple of other changes that I want to make to my app as well. So if we navigate to the event info screen, you'll now see that our branding has updated on the app. So our title there is in purple, which is great. And it's following through on our list from a data source component as well, which is essentially just a dynamic display of information. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to insert a new image component because I want my logo to be visible on this screen as well. So utilizing our drag and drop feature, what I can do is simply drag the image component to the screen. As you can see, we have this standard mountain image now at the moment. What I can do is select an image that I uploaded earlier, which in this case is my company logo again. Okay, so that's great. We have our image on the screen, but as you can see, it's at the bottom of my list and I actually want it to be in a different position. So what we're going to do is utilizing screen structure, I'm actually going to decide to move this to the top of the screen. So similarly, using our drag and drop feature, what we can do is rearrange the order that this image is displayed in. And as you can see there, very easily, we've managed to move our image from the bottom of the screen now to the top, which is great. So next, obviously now we've got our branding implemented into our app, we actually need to focus on the content. So I've prepared some content already. And as you can see, we have a Google Sheets format. So the reason I've done this is because it reflects what is in our Fliplet data sources. So a data source is essentially what powers some of our components in Fliplet. So some of our components require data sources, others don't. So the example you're seeing here is a list from a data source, which is that dynamic display of information. But essentially what we need to do is edit this data source to display my information. So again, if we click on the component and open up the cog icon, you'll see there's the ability to view the data source. So what you will notice is the format is exactly the same as my Google Sheet. And there's obviously some information in here already. So what I can simply do is I can actually go to my sheet and I can select the information I want to copy. And I can simply copy and paste this over the existing information. Or alternatively, we could delete that out. It doesn't really matter. So now if we save changes, what that's going to do is it's going to update the information displayed, as you can see in the middle of our screen. I mentioned earlier that we're in our edit mode. So this is where we can make our changes. If I wanted to make sure this all works correctly, what we can do is actually jump into our preview mode. So in the top right-hand corner, if I navigate to preview, we can actually now see that these changes have taken effect. We could also test out some of the user experience. So I could test out, I can like this post and I can bookmark things. That all works great, which is good. So if I jump back into our edit mode, what we're now going to do is update the content for the other aspects of our application as well. So we're going to look at the agenda and also the attendees section. So similarly, if we click on the components and we navigate to the data source, what I can then do is navigate to the other tab on my Google Sheets, and I can select the data that I want to insert into my application, like so. Again, make sure that we save our changes so the data updates. You'll get a notice sometimes that the data has updated. So again, we can just click OK, that's fine. And you'll now see that our new agenda has updated into our application. Finally, then, what we can do is we can look at the attendees and speakers. So I'm actually blessed that I have my attendee list already, so I know who's going to attend my event. So if we jump back into our Google Sheets, what we can do again is copy the information we want to include on this screen, and we can open up our attendees data source. So again, I'll just select the area I want to copy it to, like so, and I'll save my changes like so. So with our data source, you'll notice that a lot of the information I pasted was text. We can support a variety of different data as well. So using something like the data view settings, we can structure our data in different ways. So that could be things like images or videos that you want to include on certain screens. It can also be things like HTML, and it can also be things like URL links. Unfortunately, we won't be able to cover data view settings today, but we do have those support articles available on our website as well. So finally, then, we've updated our attendees and speakers. And what we can do now is I want to tailor the app to be related to my specific event, so my summer retreat. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to remove some content. So I'm actually going to look at this exhibitors screen. So I don't actually need this. This is for an external event. Simply what I can do is I can click on the cog icon here and I can delete this screen like so. All I then have to do is update the menu, so the navigation for the user, as you can see with this bottom bar icon here. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to open up my menu icon like so on the right-hand side, and I'm going to delete the menu link, so for exhibitors. So all we have to do is click on this bin icon and click save, and that change is now implemented. One thing I did forget, though, with reference to the menu, is actually to brand the menu itself. So at the moment, you can see it's a purple color. What I'm going to do is just jump back into the theme appearance section. And as you can see, we have our menu for the bottom bar. This is the one that I'm using currently. So if we select this menu option, I can also change the menu color very easily, like so. Okay, so we've now branded the application. We've also added our content and tailored it to my specific needs. What I'm now going to do is launch the application. So very easily, what we can do is navigate to the top right and click publish. And what I'm going to do today is publish this as a web app. So I want my team to review this prototype. I don't want to publish it to the app stores yet. So on the first instance, I'm just simply going to click publish and publish this to the web. And what that will now do is actually give me a link to open. I could also utilize a QR code so I could view this on my mobile device. If we open up our web app, you'll now see our web app solution. At this point, I'll ask Lisa how we're doing for time and whether we stuck under the 15 minutes.
Just under 13 minutes. So you've got a little more time if you need to show anything else.
Brilliant. Okay, so I think what that's going to allow us to do is actually jump into the app itself and take a look at some of the work we did. So obviously we can see our onboarding screen here. I didn't focus too much on the content that was here, but all of this is entirely customizable as well. With a little bit more time, we could focus on some of the information displayed here. My username and password. And as you can see, we've been notified that there's app updates and notifications. So at this stage, what we could do is turn on our notifications as well. If we wanted to, I could be informed about any relevant information about my event or any updates. But for now, I'm just going to say don't allow. So as we can see, we have our nicely branded event info screen. We have all of the information that I've inputted into this screen with regards to directions and accommodation. And obviously, as you can see, we can open up a detail view and find out some more information about a specific section. If we jump over to the agenda, then we'll have all of our agenda items, which is great. I can maybe take a look at some of these. So maybe the goal setting workshop. And actually, I can see there's a couple of speakers, which is great. I also have the ability to ask some questions during this session. I could also fill out a survey post-session. So that's really good if you're the event manager to get feedback. But maybe I want to take a look at Amelia's profile. So we'll jump into her profile. And we'll actually see that, Amelia's got a couple of our sessions that she's speaking at. So we could check these out as well on our agenda, which is great. Those are all linked in together via the data sources I talked about earlier. And if we wanted to, we could also connect with Amelia on things like LinkedIn, etc. So as you can see, very quickly in 15 minutes, we've been able to produce our prototype event app. Obviously, with a bit more time, we could take this even further. But hopefully this gave you guys a lot of an insight in how quickly it is with Fliplet to actually build out your event solution. So what I'll do now is we'll finish the demo. Obviously, if you did have any questions, please post these in the Q&A box itself. So as mentioned, just a quick recap. So we uploaded our content. As I mentioned before, it's important that you have some of your content to hand already. Obviously, it's not essential, but it does speed up the app building process, as you just saw. It's always good to have your branding to hand as well. So I had my branding colors. I also had my logos to hand, and I was very easily able to put these into the application. Using our drag and drop interface, I quickly demonstrated you could put things like images into your application. You can also take this a step further and really customize specific screens. I then tailored the app to my requirements. So I took our pre-built solution and I took out some of the elements I don't require. So again, you could do that very easily today as well. And then finally, I published my app to the web, which is my prototype app. As I mentioned, obviously what we did today in 15 minutes was very quick. It allowed me to build out our prototype solution, but there's a lot more that you can do with our event solution with more time. So for example, you can actually manage every aspect of your application. So whether this is notifications, informing and engaging your users, whether it's actually checking in your users for your events, or whether it's monitoring analytics, all of this is achievable within the application, which is great. So you don't have to go back to Fliplet Studio. There's also things like an interactive floor plan. So if you want to give your attendees an interactive floor plan to show them location of specific events or sessions, you can do that in the application as well. We obviously took out the exhibitor screen. So we took that out, but we can include it. You can use that to book and facilitate meetings. You can also use it to promote networking as well, which is really powerful. There's also things like our chat function. So again, you can encourage your networking by driving communication and interaction through our live chat function to your attendees. You can implement gamification, which is a really great way to engage your users. Maybe encourage them to unlock awards, to actually compete via a leaderboard. Those are some common examples. As I mentioned, notifications, we can send those out from the application. They can be either email or push notifications. And again, you can use this to enhance your event experience by keeping your users engaged with any updates. And finally, then we also support multiple events. So I was very much focused on a single event today, which was my summer retreat, but we can also host multiple events, whether they are in person or virtual, or even hybrid. You can actually promote and display all of your events in one place, and you can add as many events as you want, and your attendees can view and filter all of those different events.
Thanks very much, Noel. So please don't forget to ask any last-minute questions that you have privately via the Q&A at the bottom of your screen. But now that you've seen that you can create a prototype for an event app in, just on basically 13 minutes, we have some simple recommended next steps to give you. So you can very easily log straight into Fliplet Studio to start having a play with our event solution. If you haven't used Fliplet before, it's really easy and free to get started by going to fliplet.com/signup. From there, you can follow along with Noel. If you wanted to watch this back on the on-demand recording, you could follow along with him to create your event app. Our Fliplet app consultants and support team are on hand via live chat to help you. Or if you prefer, you can request a free demo via fliplet.com/request demo. A quick summary of today's webinar. We've covered an overview of Fliplet and our event solution. Noel then created an event app prototype in under 15 minutes and then explained the additional features you can include when you build out your event app further. Now, we do have a few minutes for some questions, and thank you to everyone who has sent a question in. Noel, the first question I have here is it possible to bypass the main screen once seen previously? I'm guessing this is the onboarding screen that's being referred to.
Yeah, so that's a really great question. Yeah, we definitely can do that. You can actually include a skip button if you want your users to ignore all of the slides that I showed you. Or what you can also do is set it to be visible only for first-time users, i.e. when you log in for the first time, the onboarding screen will be there. Otherwise, what will happen is you would be directed to the login screen.
Okay, great. Thank you. Another question is for the Google Sheets is being used as a source, but you just copied it from the sheet. The question is, can it be used directly? So can it be linked?
Yeah, so again, another really great question, which we get asked quite a lot. So for Google Sheets, I'd probably say the method I used was the best method. So actually copying your data directly into the app. If you did have something larger like a database where you wanted information to be pulled into your app directly, we can actually utilize an integration. So that means you could either read or write your data directly from a database. A common example might be your attendees list. If you have that somewhere else, you can pull that directly from your database into the Fliplet data source. And then that way you're eliminating all of that manual process as well. So there'd be no need to update the information in the app. It would automatically do that for you by the integration.
Great, thank you. And the last one that we have time for today, if a prototype app takes around 15 minutes, how long does it take realistically to build out a finished event app?
Yeah, again, another really good question. So it really depends on the size of the app. Obviously, what we did here today was very simple. We had a lot of our content to hand. Typically, I'd say with an event solution, around about a day to get your application fully branded and all of your content in there. Obviously, the other step to that is then the actual publishing side. So it really depends on how you choose to publish your app. Again, what we did today was publish this to the web, which was instant, as you could see. If you wanted to publish on mobile, it all varies according to them as well. So yeah, it's very straightforward.
Great, thank you. And if we didn't get a chance to respond to your question, we will come back to you separately. Just to let you know about some upcoming webinars you might be interested in, tomorrow our CEO Ian will show a live demo of building an AI-powered app with Fliplet, one not to be missed. And one to mark in your calendar for September is Unleashing the Power of App Promotion, with some strategies to help you succeed once you've launched your app. And we're always adding more webinars and events, which you can check out at fliplet.com/events. Well, that's all for us from today. Thank you very much to Noel for joining me, and I really wish you a wonderful rest of the day, and we hope to see you at another Fliplet webinar soon.